Welcome back to the channel. My name is ATX Crypto, and here today we're diving in, seeing what the Hex whales are up to, seeing what they're doing during this bear market. And as y'all know, we primarily talk about the Richard Hart ecosystem, Hex, Pulse Chain, and Pulse X. So, without further ado, let's take a look at what we usually do. And that's going to be our normal stats right from the jump. So, let me pull that up here. Bam. All right. Today we had a close of 0.28 cents. I know everyone has been seeing this in the bear market time and time again, and we're just trying to make it through. So, as you know, we earn daily interest or trustless interest, or should I say trustless yield, every single day when you have your hex staked. That is the purpose of hex. It's to actually stake it so that way you can earn more in the future. You pay your future self, as Matty Allen always says. However, we have it up here where the price of Hex is sitting right in the ballpark of, again, 2.8 cents. We still need to break that 3 threshold in order to really get out of this little range right here. Otherwise, we probably have some more downside coming ahead. Just be ready for that. And if you're ready and you properly plan, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So, however, going on here, we have the share price again sitting at 693 US dollars. It's now up to 25,143 hex for one T share. So make sure that y'all are getting in early. You can maximize this by going longer. You have a longer pays better reward in hex as well. And then the daily payout per T share was right at 6.169 hex. So that's a great little payout. Again, we've been seeing the average payout per T-share sitting right in this little 6th range for quite some time. About a week ago, we had seen the 5th highest payout per T-share around 10.77. And then again, some days we even see it here around 7. So make sure that y'all are capitalizing on this opportunity because it is an opportunity that you don't want to miss. Now, looking at to what today's news is actually all about. We have it here showing Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin muster after or during the Thanksgiving rally as market rebounds. Now, this is due to the FOMC's minute report that just released. So again, despite the day's recovery for leading cryptocurrencies, most are still in the red over the week. And again, even these are still in the red over the week. Bitcoin has actually seen its lowest price, seeing it recover some ground after hitting its lowest price from 2 years ago, right? And that just happened yesterday. We've heard it time and time again. Richard Hart's calling the 10,000 Bitcoin. In order to see that happen, we're looking pretty spot on. So don't get caught up in this relief rally. Don't let this let you think that everything is over. And at the same time, you just want to make sure that you have your foundations in mind, your thesis, your crypto thesis, and your investment thesis, and what's really going to be the driving factor overall. So again, we just saw the world's largest cryptocurrency sitting right around the $16,000. It actually dropped a little bit lower than that, sitting around 15 and some change. Again, we saw it creep its way back up to above 16, and that was just earlier this morning. So again, trading 4.9% higher. Now, again, don't let this fool you. Bitcoin has hit its lowest point since November of 2020. Now, that does not mean that will be Bitcoin's lowest point. Okay, I want everyone to keep that in mind. We see, and again, I'm talking with the same with Hex. The crypto bear market, we're not fully through it yet, unfortunately. With all the big and large institutions who have joined in during the last year plus, well, that's actually kind of kept the price a little higher and not allow it to do its normal 85% drop. That doesn't mean it won't do its 85% drop. We're very likely to see it do that. However, it's just taken longer to play out because everyone continues. We'd rather just rip off the Band-Aid, same as the Fed with the raising of the rates. Rip the Band-Aid off, jack the rates up. Let's get this over with. However, unfortunately, we're not ripping band-aids off. We're taking it one step at a time, and we're feeling the pain all the way through while that band-aid's being peeled. So don't let that be the case. Again, we know that is in fact the case in this scenario. Now, the market was on an upswing Wednesday. Now, again, this was with most major coins sitting green. We know Hex is decorrelated from the market. It looks very correlated right now. It's because the launch of Pulse Chain, as we have discussed previously in these streams, the launch of Pulse Chain is now tied heavily into the price of Hex. And until we see some bearish news on Pulse Chain, we're not likely to see the price of Hex rally its way back up anytime soon, unfortunately. So maybe when we see testnet V3, we'll see a little bit more action. And then hopefully we have the launch of Pulse Chain shortly after that, because I can imagine if we do a testnet V3 and we don't launch within a couple of days or even a week or even 2 weeks after the V3 is launched, we're going to see the price of Hex start to deteriorate again. And it's just because the unfortunate downside of how everyone is anticipating and trying to play and do certain things. And, unfortunately, that's just going to be what it is. Now that we have V3 coming out, I don't know if we're going to have the launch of Pulse Chain right after that. And the reason why is because we're now switching to the E2.0 network instead of using the whole Binance setup we were using previously in the proof of stake. We're now switching over to a consensus model. We're still doing the proof of stake. It's no longer going to be any proof of work on that. However, it's going to be a little bit different, and we probably want to make sure that it works because, again, we've seen this happen with these centralized exchanges, with these decentralized exchanges, with not even a decentralized, with the crypto community in general, where unfortunately we're going to see some red. And we want to, and Richard Hart, we know this, he can't have a flaw in his project. That's a good thing and bad thing, because he needs to continue to say the motto of 100% uptime. And if we launch and it's not ready and it has to go down or stop or do anything that will cause it to lose the statement 100% uptime, well, that's going to be something that it just will not allow to happen. So good and bad. Good news, we know when it comes out, we're getting truly the best product that he can make at the time that he's made it, because he can't have bad news, bad press. His ego won't allow it to happen. He just won't do it. There's no admin keys, so it's not like he can shut off the network or anything like that either. Once it's launched, it's running. And so we want to make sure that it's done right. And that's going to be for your benefit as well. If you're just tuning in, I appreciate everyone watching. Leave a like down below. Leave a comment in this stream right here. If you have any questions that you may want to address, you're welcome to type it up in chat. Say hello. Tell me where you're from. And again, I appreciate you tuning in. I know it's Wednesday evening here in Texas. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, because we got folks tuning in from around the world, which I love seeing. I go into my little stat pages in the back, and it's really neat. You can see a lot of information of when everyone's actually watching, and for the most part, where everyone's also watching too. Just a general idea. It's not telling me your exact location. I'm sure some people have that info, but it's not something I have. We saw Ethereum post a gain of 7% in the last 24 hours, marching its way up to 1,163, and Dogecoin pumped up to 10% with the announcement of Elon Musk and Twitter and everything that he's working on in order for Twitter to start allowing cryptos to be in its way. Now, again, we just see this happening time and time again. This is a simple relief rally. I don't want people to get caught up in this scenario where you purchase right now thinking, okay, the end is, if not now, near. I do believe the end is somewhere around the corner. I think it's waiting on several things to play out in order for us to really see it happen. So in order for us to see, I'm just chilling back, watching it happen. Got me some little Jack in the Box today, that good old and healthy food right here in that tummy. Anyways, And there's more bad news from Ethereum and Polygon enthusiasts. Rockstar Games have banned NFTs and crypto from Grand Theft Auto fan servers. Now, again, this is a little big thing. We got companies trying to ban some items. We have other people getting shaken out by this. And again, because they don't have a proper understanding of what crypto really is. Hell, I didn't have a proper understanding of what crypto really is until I started listening to the man himself, Richard Hart. He breaks the information down, and if you can get past any flaws or the arrogance that he may have, if you can listen to the facts which he states, it's going to help open your mind and open your eyes into what's actually happening in a bigger picture. And you also won't get involved with any of this nonsense here, where you end up having the FTX catastrophic collapse of the FTT token tanking all the way down to near zero. Both through direct exposure and fears of how regulators may respond. So we know that people are freaking out a lot with crypto. Everyone's calling for more regulation, more regulation. Well, the people who are calling for that are people who, again, don't understand how crypto is supposed to be performed. And that's going to be you own your own keys, you take full control. Everything that happens in this market, in this asset, in this space, is your own doing. You chose to purchase it, and if you purchase it on a centralized exchange and held it there, and then they decide to go bankrupt, well, shit, you didn't do enough research into what you were doing, right? So open your mind up, take some time. There are risks involved in everything with the ability for something to go up 10x, 100x, 1000x, 10,000x. There is going to be some downside too. And you have to understand, Richard Hart made a post on this a little bit earlier, stating that for a 10,000x gain, it's only done a 20x drop. Now, how many people are actually in back when it was doing the 10,000x? Not very many people. Unfortunately, with how many people that are actually in the space now, there's a lot more people who are just recently finding out about Hex within the last year. And we can see that through the numbers and metrics which we've looked at previously, but it's here in this little staking area. And let me switch this here. Again, this is hexfire.io. It's here in this area where we can actually see and visualize a lot of information. Okay. So what we're seeing overall is we have the T-share ratcheting up, and we see it continue to ratchet up. So January of 2022, it was only 20,000 hex in order to have one T-share. It's not quite the end of the end of the year in 2022, but we're pretty darn close, and we're already seeing that you need to have 5,000 more hex just to get that one T-share. Now is a great time to be capitalizing on those, because heck, we see the price of hex sitting in this 2.8 cent region, which we haven't seen in quite a while. We'll have for like the last 6 months. But previous to that, we didn't think we'd ever see these prices again. So if you are able to effectively collect on this information, then guess what? You're going to be able to profit even more when it comes to the bull market. So keep sitting and holding tight. This too shall pass. So I love this site because, again, it just breaks down it breaks down a lot of metrics that you're not going to be able to find on any other crypto out there. And I'm sure they have some that can add a couple of items here and there, but the community has built this. The community does everything for the hex. The community is what has made this product so phenomenal. And we help share this information with as many people as we can. And for everyone that we share it to, we get called a scammer half the time, and we get called plenty of other names the other half. But for the people who we actually can save, man, that's an uplifting feeling right there. And I know everyone who's saved anyone who's gotten into hex themselves knows exactly what we're talking about. This is another thing that we're going to continue to see decrease. The amount of T-shares over time is going to be harder and harder to get. So at this point in time, there's still 10.4 million T-shares out there in the market. But that number at the beginning of the year was sitting somewhere in the ballpark of about 10.6. Okay. So we're already seeing this number decrease over time, and that number will continue to go down. Reason why is the price for a T-share and the amount of hex is going to continue to go up. This number and the way the contract is set up in such a way that it can never be lower than what it is right now. So no matter what, if you end your stake a week from now, it's going to cost you more hex it's going to cost you more hex to get the same share rate that you had the first week. That's another issue. There's a lot going on with hex. There's plenty of items, ins and outs. There's some intricacies that you have to kind of dive down into a rabbit hole, as I like to say. And depending upon how far and how deep you dive down, you just start realizing that it just gets better and better the further and further you go. So keep diving in. Don't get stuck on just the one thing saying, I think it's a scam or it's a scam. Take some time and figure out why you believe that. And then if your thesis stands true and you don't want to purchase, so be it. However, what I've found in my experience through sharing this with friends, family, and other folk is that the deeper and further they go down, they start asking questions and they ask questions and then they go further in and they start figuring stuff out and then they start understanding. And that's the moment whenever it's a brilliant, phenomenal moment when you can start understanding how all this actually will play out in the end. Now, again, just looking here, this is the current holders in Hex. We see at the beginning of 2022, we're only sitting about 278,000 holders, right? Now we're sitting in the ballpark of about 313,000 holders. Now that's a big jump, right? That's almost a 50% increase from what we're seeing. So seeing it drop or seeing it go up from this number all the way up to here, and that number potentially is going to continue to rise, it just means that you are early. If you don't believe that you're early in Hex yet, there's only 314,000 holders of Hex at this current time. With other crypto projects, there's millions and millions of people who are invested and involved with those. Same as that's why we have it in the here, everyone crying right now with the FTX collapse and the centralized exchange collapse. And the reason why they need more regulation, because that's the millions of people talking. However, for the people who truly understand DeFi, again, you can see right here, this is an IQ test and they're passing this IQ test right now. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing on my channel is financial advice. I'm passionate about this product. It's a phenomenal thing. It helped lift a weight off my shoulder, and I'm hoping it can help you as well for anyone who might be going through something similar. Now, again, for the stakers, check this out. This number has also increased. At the beginning of 2022, we were sitting at 73,000 stakers. However, right now, we're already up to 114,000 stakers at this time. Now that number just seems to continue to increase. And guess what's happening with these people who are staking? They're staking longer because they understand that longer pays better. They understand that delayed gratification is truly a thing. Everything that we do in life is delayed gratification. When you work out, you have to continue to work out in order to see the results. It's not something that you go work out one time, bust your ass 24 hours in there, and then the next day you don't have to work out, or the next month you don't have to work out, because it doesn't work that way. It has to be delayed gratification. That's how we do with everything, for our mental, for our fitness, for our health, for our physical. For everything that happens in life, it's a delayed gratification. And what does Hex do better than anything else? It helps you with your delayed gratification. Okay, so we got a lot going on. I know I talk about this quite often, and I'm pretty passionate about it as well. And that's because everything that's going on is just a phenomenal time to be here. But what's really interesting on my perspective is seeing what these whales are doing, right? So if I go back into the charts, let me see where I can go back in here. Give me 1 second. We got staking data, advanced analytics. Cherry model experiment, no way staking. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to remember where the site was to start looking and to see what these whales are actually doing, because guys, this is a good time. Well, heck, while I'm looking at it right now, this is going to show the same thing. When is the best time to stake and the best days to stake, right? And so we can see typically toward the end of the month, we start seeing a lot of people start staking, and that's going to be when everyone's kind of ending all this information right from the jump. Again, we can see right now we have a lot of stakes ending in November. Reason why, we got holidays coming up, everything happening, and then we're going to start seeing this number go back up. So if you know that a lot of stakes are going to end around this time, then we can start planning around it, right? We can start planning to see when everything is actually happening. But I digress. Give me 1 second and let me go find out where the. Let me go back here. Let me go find out where the actual whale chart is, because that was something I was very interested in whenever I first found it. I hope everyone's doing good. Everyone tuning in for the stream. Again, I appreciate y'all tuning in. My name is ATX Crypto. Do me a favor, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel. It helps me out, lets me know that you're appreciating this information for everyone watching. And this is something that I'm going to try to do with a daily stream. So for those of y'all who like hopping on and just chatting and seeing what's going on with Hex and what's going on in the market and what's happening everywhere and get some quick news, well, you're definitely going to appreciate this channel. So be sure to subscribe, and that would be greatly appreciated. Um, There we go. Perfect. Oh. Perfect. Okay, cool. So I'm going to get myself back on into this little mini version overall. And let's see what these whales are doing, y'all. So this is actually a little item I pointed out yesterday when looking through this as well. This is a Hex Staker League breakdown. You can see that it shows you how many of the whales that are currently in Hex, how many sharks are in, and how many dolphins, so on and so forth. And you can see exactly right now we have 114,000 stakers. And this is just kind of a breakdown as to what category they fall in. And this is how many T-shares are required in order to be able to capitalize or attain this league, this rank, this staker league. So you can see, just to have a cool crab, you got to have at least one T-share. So I think my recommendation that I've told everyone, again, I'm not a financial advisor, but something I've done in the past is always recommend to have one T-share. And if you're only going to have one, then go long, right? If you're not looking to get out, or if you're not looking to retire, or if you didn't have retirement in mind quickly, then you want to go long. And you can go out to 5,555 days, which is 15 years. If you feel comfortable doing that after you've done your little bit of research, it's a great way of being able to collect it. When you hit the 10-year mark, that's when you max out. The longer pays better. And then the 15 years is just capitalizing on the additional compounding interest over that time. So you can see right now we got the turtles sitting at 10 T-shares required. You got the squid sitting at 103, dolphins 1,000. In order to be a shark, you have to have 10,000 T-shares. And in order to be a whale, you have to have 100,000 T-shares. Now, again, guys, we did this daily breakdown. I think we had just seen it the other day, but what is this? 103. I'll just say 104,000, right? So if we have 104,000, and their daily payout is 6.1 per T-share, that means every single day these folks, because of the T-share amount that they have at 100,000, is earning 634,000 hex per day. Again, let me say that one more time. The minimum amount required in order to be a whale is 103,972 T-shares. When you do the math on that and you have a daily payout of 6.1 T-shares, that's going to be a massive amount of hex they receive every single day. So I'm not too surprised when we see some of these items end up being sold, because if you imagine having the ability to earn passive income by doing nothing but staking. And these folks have, for the most part, already staked for a long time. And that's what we're going to be looking at today, is what these whales are actually doing overall. Right. And so I want to see diving into some of these wallets. We know a couple of them are OA related. Again, it's unconfirmed. They make sure to say that. But we can see how many of these whales are in here. And out of the 14 whales that are sitting in here, I think there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 are considered to be an OA address. Hey, good evening. What is up? Love seeing you in the house. I appreciate you being here. Big shout out from Southeast Michigan. Love it, love it, love it. So today, again, we're checking out, see what these whales are doing during this bear market. I'm curious myself, right? And that's why I'm doing this, because I haven't actually looked into some of these wallets. I know I've looked in the past to see what they have done, and I've been curious to know what they're doing now. So let's take a look at what this is seeing. This was the first wallet. This is this wallet right here, ending in BAE8. And again, this is going to be the first wallet, sitting at $3,347. So they're not doing much. They are involved in Hedron. That was something I had looked at whenever I'd first seen if Hedron was going to be a good item to claim, is, are the whales doing it? And I saw that the whales were doing it. And that makes me even more open to the idea. I still have to do my own research and make sure that I have a better understanding of what it is. But whenever I see them interacting with the contract, and they have millions and millions of dollars in assets for the most part in these items, and they're connecting their wallets to say that they own the hex, well, that makes me a lot more comfortable connecting my wallet, because again, it makes it to where we're not quite there. I'm not quite there, but I'm definitely open to an idea that they're open to. And that's awesome to see. So I'm gonna move off this one here. And I actually want to whoops, why did I close that? Pull up the next one. Cool. So on this one here, we have the next whale. This is going to be the C666D. This is known to everyone as the God whale address. Everyone has seen this address time and time again. And this actually is something that people had noticed, that they had purchased hex and they were buying again. And that was something that a lot of people were getting very bullish on when it came to hex. But you can see they're sitting on $60 million in hex. Now that's liquid. It always makes me wonder what they have staked. And so you can actually see some information, right? Let me see if I can pull it up here, because I'm actually curious to see what their stakes look like. Okay. And here we go. Now I'm going to copy this address and I'm going to check it out into a different site to see if I can find their stake history. Yep. So pulling this up, sharing this tab. This is going to be another website, hex.vision, another community-made website here. But you can see they've closed 12 stakes and they still have 11 stakes open. Out of that, they have 1 billion. Is that right? 1,000 million, billion, 1.65 billion hex staked at this time. And you can see their stakes are going all the way out to 2036. That's 15 years from whenever they were first staking, guys. You have to understand, this hasn't been around for more than 3 years at this point in time. Now, they have their bigger shares ending in 2030, but that's huge. You have to understand, this whale, this God whale, is saying that he believes in the product so much that he's willing to put his money where his mouth is and knock this sucker all the way out. So I can actually zoom in on here and see how many shares are sitting right here. This is 302,000 T shares. Excuse me. Now it's phenomenal to see, guys. That's just absolutely incredible. Are you kidding me? We can go down here and see the history of their stakes as well. And so we know that this particular entity has staked all the way, and they did mini for 10 years, all around April, did one more in September, and then has another one going all the way out to 5,555. That is solid. That's a person who understands how the hex system works. Okay. That's something that whenever I start looking at this information, it makes me understand that I have to have a longer vision than I may have previously had. And that was because, again, we're very short sighted individuals. However, if you're looking at how fast time passes, it's typically in the blink of an eye. We say it all the time with how fast our kids grow up. We say it all the time with how fast the year's gone by. We say it all the time with even how fast the month has gone by. So don't let your short sightedness keep you from doing longer stakes if you believe in the product yourself and you're going to be staking anyways. Okay. So that's going to be one of the addresses. Again, sitting pretty heavily on some liquid hex right now. And right now they have 2.3 million hex. No, thousand million billion. So they're sitting in 2.1 billion hex, which is roughly around $60 million. Now you have to understand these folks have actually held this hex, even though it's liquid, they aren't doing anything with it. And we can see that by looking at these transactions right here. Right now they've just staked, or they've gone and minted some hedron from whenever maybe a stake was ending previously for them. And we can actually go into the ERC20 transactions as well and see that not much is really happening overall. They aren't messing with too many other products. Now, again, they're kind of hopping on here and there. You can see what they're doing. And I'm always curious because, again, guys, this is how you figure stuff out. So they have 395,000 of Veritasium. Not sure what that is. I don't really care to necessarily look into other crypto projects that they may be invested in. My main focus is the Hex community. I want to see what's happening. J-Man, hello. I salute you, sir. I appreciate you joining in the stream. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, today we're just checking out, seeing what these whales are doing overall, as I had mentioned to everyone yesterday in my stream. I'm curious. This is how I feel more comfortable about what I'm invested in whenever I see that there's many other people way more intelligent than me who have, and again, we know Godwell is Godwell, and he was invested in the Ethereum Genesis, and he has Genesis tokens that he's held since the launch of Ethereum 7+ years ago. And so if he's able to hold, then it kind of shows me that maybe time is what I need on my side. I don't need to be impatient. I don't want to make an irrational decision. I don't want something that I'm going to look back on later and say, damn, I wish I would have just waited, right? I don't want that scenario. I'm not going to look at the OA address because, again, there's just not really a purpose in my opinion. If y'all want me looking into the OA address confirmed or related, and again, you can see what I'm pointing at right over here. Whoops, no, you can't. You can see what I'm looking at right over here. If y'all want me looking at this OA related addresses, then just let me know. Know what whales are doing is smart. Absolutely, right? Like, if you have a better idea of what these folks are doing, if they're dumping, if they're holding, if they aren't freaking out right now because of everything happening, then it puts a little bit more confidence in your ability as well. So this dude right here, another whale in Hex. And these are whales in terms of the staking league, not based on how much they have in terms of Hex. This is how much they have staked in Hex in order to attain the whale rank, which means they have to have a minimum of 104 or 103,000 T-shares in order to be considered or ranked as a whale. So I just want everyone to know what I'm doing. I'm not looking at someone who's holding all liquid Hex and seeing what's happening there. I'm looking for the people who are staked, because that's what matters to me, and that's what should matter for everyone involved in the Hex contract as well, because staking is what it's all about, right? So if y'all want me looking into the OA related, just leave a comment down below. If y'all are tuning in into the stream later, definitely let me know it's something that y'all are wanting to see, and I can spend some time looking into it. All right, so this is going to be the next. This is going to be the next whale right here. This is 323FCF, which is the last four. That's what I'm looking at. And again, when you click on this link, it actually pops up this other address for the Etherscan, right? And whenever you have this is when you can start diving in and seeing what information's there. And y'all can do this yourselves. If y'all are finding some information that you find helpful, you think maybe other people would also benefit from knowing, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I'd love to be able to check it out. But this is actually, this person hasn't done anything with their wallet in a very long time. They had the sacrifice for Pulse X. I'm sure they did the sacrifice for Pulse Chain. We're not looking at sacrifices at this moment in time because that's already done and passed. Y'all are actually going to be surprised by this. I'll pull this up real fast for fun, but people are still sacrificing to these addresses. If y'all don't know that, every single day someone is still sacrificing on these Pulse X sacrifices. I find that to be comical. We had there was a 1.05 rate increase every single day that passed. And maybe what I'll do in my stream tomorrow is actually look at what that breakdown looks like. But people are still sacrificing every single day. Again, maybe not every single day, but 5 days ago, someone sacrificed $40. Another 8 days ago, someone sacrificed $7,000. And then you had another 7,000. And so for people who are just tuning in, sacrifice is over. I don't recommend it personally. I think the rate that you're going to get is going to be god awful. I think you're going to be better off sitting in liquid cash or USDC or DAI or whatever choice of coin you prefer, and holding that token until everything is done, right? And so we got J-Man saying the same thing. Wow, I know. I was shocked. Surprised. People are sacrificing not only for the Pulse X sacrifice, people are still sacrificing for Pulse Chain sacrifice. And that was months before Pulse X sacrifice, and people are still doing it every single day. Sacrifice Pulse on day 3, went all in. That's a smart play, and I think that you're gonna really benefit from it. Let me go let my dog in real fast. Give me 1 second, y'all. You want to come in here? Come here. Hi. Hi, cutie. Hi, cutie. What are you doing? Where are you going? All right. Bye, Bentley. All right. Guess he didn't want to sit in here with me. Whatever. Yeah, I was actually fortunate enough to also be able to sacrifice during the actual sacrifice periods for Pulse Chain and Pulse X. I think everyone hopefully learned from the Pulse Chain sacrifice. I see you did by doing it even just 1 day earlier, because what happened for a lot of people was they ended up sacrificing. The price started rallying up, and everyone, personally, I was a similar situation, that everyone just started rallying up, and then they ended up waiting, and then thinking the price would return or come back down, and it continued to get pushed down and pushed down and pushed down. So some people were jumping in later, but then the Pulse X sacrifice came around, and I don't think people were waiting around that long. They were wanting to jump on that as quick as they possibly can. So smart on you for doing it day 2. Again, I'm thankful to have just been involved in that situation. When it comes out, I think we're going to all forget about everything that's happened, how long it took to happen. You don't hear anyone really talk about that with Hex, but Hex was a 2-year project before it even became a product and became official for the market to even participate in. We got J-Man saying, I love dogs. I got 3 of them. I feel you there. Keeps you busy. All right. Apparently talking on stream does a number for talking. Apparently I don't really talk that much. But whatever. I appreciate everyone tuning in. For those of y'all who are just tuning in, do me a favor, leave a comment in the chat. Let me know y'all are actually here. Give me a shout out where you are from. I'm here in Texas. I appreciate everyone watching right now. And again, if y'all are finding this information helpful, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, and share this information out there. I'm going to try to do daily streams. I'm going to try to take over a hexa role in some way, shape, or form, but I put my own spin on it too. Of course, we all have our own take and we all want to do certain items. But yeah, looking at this, people are still sacrificing for Pulse X. And guys, you have to understand there's $7 billion in here, and that's at the price of 0.28 cents for a hex. Like, whenever this number reaches crazy items, man, that's going to be ridiculous. Absolutely. Hit the like. I appreciate that, J Man. Appreciate you tuning in. And again, going back over here. Now, when we actually see it, we actually have people, again, this whale in particular isn't doing anything, and that inspires confidence in myself as to someone who's seeing the price of hex drop and drop and drop. Most people are staked. I'm staked. My stake isn't even ending until a year from now, and then I can start worrying about price. But it's something that I enjoyed seeing. It's not something I focus on as in like it's something I have to know every single day, and I don't let my emotions get in the way. Because man, whenever I was trading before I found hex, man, when you would buy and then the price drops and you're just like, and you're so mad. Well, when you stake, that kind of relieves that anxiety because you have your hex, you've staked your hex. Yeah, you could have probably earned more T shares, but either way, you're earning more hex trustless every single day. So that's what it's all about. That's what the hex is all about. For those of y'all who aren't familiar with hex, do yourself a favor. Check the link in the description box down below. It's hex.com/links. It's a website that allows you to dive in and learn some information yourself. This isn't my website. It's just a website that allows people to hopefully figure out some information that you're looking for to make your own investment thesis and see if this is something that's right for you. RH is definitely, man. So that's the funny thing. So I didn't know when the sacrifice period ended for Pulse Chain, and he said that he would still allow it because of the dum-dums. I think he had such a reputation of doing right by people that even for the people who are currently still sacrificing, and I do not recommend that at all at this point in time. There's a period where that could have been beneficial. There's a play that you could have had, and it was a smart play, if you will, at the time. It's almost as if you DCA for the first 100 days. But if he wants to make right by everyone, and he has to have a perfect product that has 100% uptime, like we talked about. He has to have I know. This is absolutely, man. The fact that people are still sacrificing blows my mind away. And again, what I'm going to do tomorrow is I have a chart that I've built out, breaking down what it would look like in terms of what you will receive for your sacrifice for every $1. So as we know, for every $1, it was 10,000 hex, but or 10,000 pulse. My bad. That would be awesome if it was hex. Definitely not. But that was and again, it's not even a certain thing because we haven't even seen it launch. There is a particular item. We may or may not get tokens for it. We know the whole spiel. We already know how it all works. So don't get afraid when you start hearing that. He did give mercy, right? He can't have people come at him for the dumb stuff. He wants to have perfect, flawless operation, but he also wants to make sure that these dummies who are still sacrificing, man, get something. I don't know what they're even going to get for a sacrifice now, but I digress. And I know I digress because, I mean, heck, It's a fun conversation to be had whenever you start seeing how many people end up getting this sacrifice period over and over and over again. It absolutely boggles my mind that people are still sacrificing. It did end a few months back. Um, he did have to, well, that's what I'm saying. He had the complete balance totals, and that was when we found out what you would most likely get. But these people aren't going to be affecting ranks at this point in time anymore. So the balance totals was more so for a ranking system as to how much you would get paid in your addition. These folks who are sacrificing now are so far beyond anywhere close to the same level as someone who is sacrificing now. Now, what they're going to get, I don't know. I think anyone who sacrificed, like a person who sacrificed 7,000 like a week ago to Pulse X, man, like I don't think you're gonna get 70,000 or 700,000 tokens. I just don't see that being the case. But that's not my place to say. I have no idea what's gonna happen. Well, I'm curious to see what he's going to do, right? And that's something we can, guess what, look at when the time comes, because everything is on the blockchain and it allows us to see all this information. So if y'all are just tuning in for the stream, do me a favor, give me a shout out where y'all are coming from. I appreciate y'all joining in chat. We're checking out what these whales are doing during this bear market. We are avoiding the OA related addresses because that's not something necessarily too important for me. These people are sitting on some liquid hex, but for the most part, they're whale, which means they are staked. And we know that because when I copy this information and I go to hex.vision, I can then pull that information up over here, and it shows me that they have 4 open stakes sitting with 1 billion hex staked. So if we have 1 billion hex stake there, and they're only sitting on 12,000 hex, maybe they're just accumulating and buying some more and just keep stacking up at these ridiculously low prices. And that's what again we're checking out. We're trying to see, what are they doing? Are they purchasing? Are they buying? They are doing some purchases for a small little bit here. And again, I don't really like focusing so much on everything. Goodness gracious. This particular whale could have been one of the reasons. I don't know how far back we can go. And I know I'm sure we can go plenty far back, but they just pulled out $70 million out of USDC. That's big. Where'd it go? $70 million. And it looks like they're just kind of keep moving the money around. They have 1,000. They probably wanted to do small transactions. That was 200 days ago. They did 10 million. They got in, they got out. They did 70 million. They got in, they got out. Now, guys, this is something that doesn't get talked about often enough. J-Man says Colorado in the house. Hey, shout out Colorado. And again, 1 billion hex. Yup. That's what they have staked, right? So that's what we're seeing. And that's what I'm looking at, because, man, like, I'm always curious. You have $70 million that you pulled out. And I highly, highly, highly advise people do not do one lump sum transaction like this. Mitigate the risk by doing however many transactions you feel comfortable doing. In this scenario, had they done 10 transactions at 7 million apiece, they run less risk of that money being locked up somewhere. Because right now we don't really have the problem with crypto and getting in hex and all that stuff is the fiat on and off ramp, right? And we know that. So getting out of crypto and back into the fiat currency and typically involves some form of centralized exchange. That's not always the case. There are ways of getting around it, but for the most part, it's that's how they do it. And what happens is if you commit to sending this money and it doesn't end up in the situation, or if they lock it, or if they do something with it, well, then you end up in a situation where you're just SOL, and now you're sitting with your hands, tied, or sitting on your hands trying to figure out what to do next because you just lost $70 million. Now, I don't want to ever be in that situation where I feel like that's ever going to be an item that I have to worry about. You can see they did end up doing that over time. They received the 70 million here, and what they do is they break it down in small increments. I say small increments, but these are $1 million that we're talking about. But they break it down over time. So they do 10 here, 10 here, 10 here. Smart. That's a good way of doing it. And you span it out. He did it pretty much within the span of one day, which kind of leads me to believe that could just be like a limit or a transaction limit. But he did it over a period of about a week, right? So from here all the way up to here, he took 10 million, 10 million, 10 million, 1 million, 10 million, 10 million, 10 million, and then they broke it down in four and four, and even just a million toward the end. And that kind of like dries it up. And again, you can see they've done this previously as well. That's the way you really want to get out of and into crypto. If you ever have money, you don't want to launch it all at the same time. I use $10,000 as my number because I feel that's more relatable to an average person. We're not talking millions over here, but when you start dealing with the millions, because again, this is something that can happen easily within the next bull run for Hex. So stay tuned, right? Pay attention to what the whales are doing. Learn from what the whales are doing. This is something that has shown us time and time again that we do need to learn and look and find out again how we can benefit overall from this information. Yeah, a billion. Yeah, and you can probably see this particular whale. And what's funny, they pulled out $70 million and they're still considered to be a whale in Hex because they're staked with a billion plus Hex. That's how you win in crypto, right? That's the attainment that everyone will want to see. Yes, they can dump the price. Yes, they have the ability to do so. But were they patient enough? And for the most times, yes. Did they delay their gratification? Yes. Have they waited years and years and years to be able to touch this money? Most likely, right? They probably didn't start off getting 70 million and then pulling it all out at 70 million. They probably end up with millions of that, way above that. And then they pull out 10% or 5% or 3% of their entire stack to do whatever they want with, right? And that's what I'm trying to learn. So getting outside of the OA related addresses, let me pull up another one here because guys, this is interesting. This is some interesting stuff right here for me. This is whenever I start seeing stuff that I didn't quite understand before, right? This is something that now that we have the ability to look at this information ourselves, maybe we should look into it. I know I was looking at Pulse Gains, Taylor, and she was looking into the Godwell addresses and figuring out that they had well over $1 billion in assets just within the wallets that they interconnected between each other. And again, they don't end up in the billionaire status by accident. They end up doing everything typically very methodically and very patient, and they aren't waiting on anything in particular. They just know they have a strategy. They know what they have in mind. They had their own investment thesis created from a long time, and then they're patient. They're patient. They're patient. You see, these people aren't doing rapid pulls all the time. They aren't doing a whole bunch of stuff. The last time this wallet had seen really any activity was almost a year ago, 264 days ago. Yeah, they have some activity over here. They ended up purchasing, it looks like, some Hex on this one. And that's, again, a nice little purchase of 100,000 Hex. And they're just scooping up this price. They have other tokens that they're playing with. And I mean, heck, if you've made it and you want to have your little degen and play around with some other items, and so be it. But this person's sitting currently with $4.5 million in liquid hex. Now, what's that mean? It means that they either have just recently ended the stake, and this is where we start looking at more information. And we start going to hex.vision, because now we can start looking into what they're actually doing. Oops, I can pull this up here and there. Come on, there you go. And there. All right, yeah, they literally have one stake. I'll pull it up so everyone can see. This particular person has one stake. What they did was they went all the way out, 15 years, 55555, I'm sure. And they ended up getting 149,000 T-shares. That's a phenomenal amount of T-shares, and they have 1 billion hex staked at this point in time. Now, that's what's funny. Whenever you start seeing this information, that's this wallet, okay? Most of the time, they start having other wallets that they also use as well. And that's when you can start really diving in and seeing what's actually happening with all these wallets. So this person's still sitting on 164 million hex. Again, they are just sitting with that money at this point in time. They haven't sold it. They bought this hex quite some time ago. We can actually probably look back at when. Let's just do this and sort it. Nope. Yeah, I can't sort it by hex in particular. And yeah, that's only going to show page 1 of 2 and hex. Okay, so the last time they had actually purchased hex was 281 days ago, right? Again, they just recently bought a little bit more. We just saw it a moment ago, but this is 49 million hex. So 281 days ago, guys, the price of hex was way, way higher 281 days ago. Actually, I could take a quick look. What date was 268? I believe I said that. 268. Let me just make sure. 281. Close enough. 281 days ago. That was February 15th of 2022. So when we go back and actually see this here and pull this all the way up to February, and again, I'm looking at the chart right now. And so we have February of 2022, right? So we got right here, February 2022, February right here. We had the price sitting anywhere in the ballpark of 18 cents, and it got as low at one point in time as 12 cents. And these people have held that the entire way down. So while it may look like $4 million, that was a lot more when they first bought the hex. So you have to understand they are waiting. They are patient. They understand patience is the name of the game, right? And that's why we look at this information. We want to find out what these whales are doing, guys. What these whales are doing. Space double. Oh, shit. You didn't see my screen that whole time? Lol. Such is the way. Well, my bad, Space D007. Okay, I didn't see that. I don't even remember what I necessarily was talking about at this point in time when the comment came through. Oh, it was just right now. Cool. So what I was looking at right here was I was seeing the last time they bought hex. Okay, so I went to view all. Cool. Appreciate that, Space D007. Let me know that everything is cool now. So what I did was I went to see when the last time they bought it was. And you can see they did have a small transaction of 100,000 right here that they just recently did about 6 months ago. But, oh shit, you could just scroll this over here. I didn't know that. I'm learning something new while doing a stream. But I actually wanted to see whenever they pulled it up, how far ago they recently did a purchase. And you can see they did a 49 million purchase here and a 95 million purchase here. They were both 281 days ago, February 15th of 2022. And And whenever I pulled that up on this screen to see what the price was looking at, hopefully you can see it now. It was looking in this region right here, right? So we had and it's the middle of the pointer right now is what I'm seeing. So we had the price sitting anywhere between 18 cents, and it dropped all the way down to 12 cents during that time. And again, we could even get more specific if you really wanted to and break this down. So let's just see exactly what it looked like. We have February 14th, 2022. So we had the price sitting right in the ballpark of 20 cents, and again, dropped all the way down to 15 cents. The reason why I pull that up and bring it up again is because you have to understand that they bought this hex back then when it was worth way more than what they have right now. So while they do in fact have $4 million in hex, what's even more interesting is that they've held the entire time. So they're sitting on $4.5 million, and they aren't selling, and they haven't sold even during that whole time. So we have something that was worth 20 cents, essentially a 10 times more, close to, we'll say, 15 times more. And while it's sitting at 4.5 mil, I mean, heck, let's just do some quick math, right? What's 4.5 times 15? That used to be $68 million. And now it's sitting at 4.5. If they're able to make sure that they can hold and they aren't selling and they aren't panicking, and I get it, whenever you reach a certain status, you don't really panic so much anymore. But if you can start preparing your mindset, because what happens when Pulse Chain launches and whatever you sacrifice, we'll say, does a 10x right from the jump, are you going to be the person that sells at that time? Now, let's switch it up a little bit here as well. What happens when it goes up to and does a 50x, and then it drops all the way back down to only a 5x above what the initial sacrifice was? Are you going to be okay with holding during that entire time? And this is how you can start mentally preparing yourself for these situations. You don't want to end up in a situation where you end up handicapping yourself, where you end up fudding yourself, where you get in your own head because everything is going down all of a sudden. You want to make sure that you are mentally prepared to take a 90% loss when you reach this status and level, because these people did not used to be millionaires, I'm sure. And so when you see it go from 60 million down to 4 million, that's a tough cookie to swallow. It's easy when you see it almost go from 1,000 to 20 or 1,000 to 100, because that's something that we can all wrap our heads around, and we know we can almost easily make it back up. But to make up $50 million is a whole nother pill to swallow, right? And so what I want everyone to be prepared for is for something like this to happen to you. Are you going to be the type of individual that sells when it starts going down? Are you going to be the type of person that panics when this happens? And I hope the answer is no to that question, but everyone has their own items in life. Life is full of unfortunate surprises. So you never want to say that you won't ever do something, but if you can start preparing yourself mentally, then that's something that I find very interesting. And they mess with NFTs. I'm not a big fan of NFTs. I haven't really gotten my head around it yet at this time. So, to each his own. And guys, don't ever end up clicking this stuff. This is like fake stuff. If you see this kind of stuff in your wallet, and it just shows up one day, don't click it trying to like claim it or activate it or whatever it says to do. This is like a fake thing completely, typically. So like, just don't interact with it. You can hide it typically if it's showing up in your wallet. It's just something I personally don't recommend or advise. But looking back at the next whale, I think I'm only going to look at, maybe 4 more wallets on this one, because I just want to kind of get a good idea of what the whales are doing right now. If y'all are wanting me to do a deeper dive into maybe some lower ranks, do me a favor, leave a comment down below, whether it be sharks, dolphins, squids, turtles, or even crabs. Let me know what y'all are wanting to take a look at, because I'm always curious, man. This stuff fascinates me. And the fact that we have it all laid out right in front of us and someone put this all together where I don't have to do all the digging and research and everything myself, this is phenomenal. I appreciate the guys who made hexfire.io. Appreciate the guys who made hexdailystats.com. Those are great resources. Hex.vision is another one that allows me to look at these stakes for them. And this is all crypto. This is all community driven. Our crypto community for Hex is it's like a brotherhood is what I can call it. It's this foundation that we all can relate with each other. We all have, a similar understanding of what we're involved in, what we're invested in. And that's why we stand strong, even though everything's happening in the market right now, right? So again, let me just take a quick look here and kind of wrap this up and finish off the last couple. This one that I just finished was an address of 7E6C. So we were looking at this one right here a moment ago. I'm going to skip the OA related addresses, and I'm just going to open up some of these other ones. We have ACCC, we have 2E87, and then we last have 07B6. And all I'm doing is just reading off the last 4 of their Ethereum addresses. This is where you see the God Whales in here. 666D is the God Whales address, as we know here in this Hex community. But what's the next whale doing, right? So let's take a look over here, and this is going to be ACCC. So over here, they are sitting on 34,000 USDC. They aren't really sitting on much in terms of any liquid Hex, which in fact I am always a fan of whenever I see this. It just means they have a good understanding of how the whole Hex protocol is, one, supposed to be done, and two, it just gives me a better belief. And again, everyone has their own opinion on everything right now at this point in time. But let's just see what they are doing. Are they doing more stakes? Are they opening up newer stakes? Are they going longer? Do they do shorter stakes? What are they doing? So this is what the ACCC address is looking at. They had 8 stakes at one point. They've already closed them. They still have 11 open. They're sitting on 470 million Hex staked. They are going long on this one. So they have their shorter ones kind of ending earlier, and then they keep going longer. And then the big one was right at the 2030 mark. My guess was they did a 10-year stake in order to maximize the longer pays better bonus. The last time they did end up doing a stake was February of 2020, and that one actually ended pretty shortly after. So I didn't have much on the Hex payout, but this one was actually February 2021, showing this is going to be the first one ending, and even how much interest they've accrued, how much Hex payout there has been, how much Hex was staked in order to get there. So in essentially 1 year time on this one, they earned almost 1 million additional Hex for doing a 1 year stake. That's the bigger pays better bonus aspect of it. But they did go long, right? And that's something that I think everyone needs to start getting a better grasp on. The purpose of Hex is to stake. I think we know that. But for those of y'all who don't, again, that is why Hex was created. It's not something that you just hold in liquid form, trying to wait until the price goes up to cash out. The purpose of it is to delay gratification. So if you're going to sit liquid on it anyways, you might as well stake it, so that way you earn more Hex in the interim. And then when that stake ends, you've actually end up capitalizing on earning more Hex. And then you can cash out, do what you want, sell the interest, restake the principal, do whatever product or do whatever method you plan on doing yourself. But yeah, I mean, just checking these out, guys. These folks here are sitting pretty heavy. This particular whale is sitting on DAI pretty heavy on this one, $525,000 worth of DAI. What I find to be the most interesting on some of these is that at any point in time, this money can easily circulate back into Hex. A lot of the times, these folks may have cashed out of Hex a little while ago, and you can see they did cash out. They have good accounting going on right now. They have, yeah, they've really just done good accounting on most of their stakes, but they do stake and then they restake for the most part is what you end up seeing. So they try to make sure that they can take some money, take some profit, and then go back and go long. So again, that's pulling up here. But what's best that I mentioned just a moment ago, this money can come back into our ecosystem at any point in time for Hex. If this particular whale is like, man, forget it, dude, I've waited long enough. I just want to buy some more Hex while we're waiting on Pulse Chain. Well, guess what? Now they can, and they're sitting on the cash to do so. This is the last whale we'll look at, 07B6. And so we can see they are sitting heavy on Hedron. That is a wild. They have $2 million in Hedron. That is crazy. What is that? 1 trillion shares? 1,000, million, billion, trillion. Yeah, they have 1 trillion shares in Hedron. Woo-wee. That is $2 billion they are just sitting on. And how are they able to get that? Well, they were able to get it because they claimed their Hedron from their Hex. It's phenomenal, guys. That is what we love seeing. This is another project that was created to help the Hex ecosystem. So these people can convert that Hedron. Now, if they do, the price of Hedron, I'm sure is going to dump, but they can convert some of this and flip it back into Hex and then probably end up staking and claiming some more Hedron. And it's a cycle that can continue to happen time and time again. But when I start seeing whales, someone who's got millions worth of dollars, participate in these protocols, again, that makes me bullish, guys. It does. It makes me bullish on these projects, on the future of the crypto space, on the future of crypto in general, but on the future of Hex, right? This community, this network, these people. Hey, I absolutely enjoy doing this stuff. Space D007. Again, I'm looking at doing this each night. So if y'all are tuning in, I appreciate y'all sticking around to the end of the stream. I plan on knocking this out around the same time each time. It looks like it's going to be around 7:30 to 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. But that's always TBD, right? That can be up in the air. We may just hop on some streams and do some longer streams going for longer overall. I don't really know exactly what we're going to end up playing out, but tomorrow what I end up planning on doing for those of y'all who stuck around this long is look at these sacrifice addresses and look at the rate that people are getting, because if you don't know, people are still sacrificing for PulseX and for Pulse Chain. And so I'm just curious, because my brain goes, how much are they actually going to earn when Pulse Chain launches? Because guess what? Each day that goes by, it ratchets up 1.05%. And it's been doing that since the sacrifice period has started for both projects. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen and what they're going to be getting, because I think and J-Man and I had a conversation on this a little earlier about there's no way that he's going to give him credit for it. And I think he is going to give him credit. I just don't know what it's going to be. And if it's going to be fair, they're going to get 1.05 rate increase through the whole time. And so I am just waiting to see what ends up playing out, what ends up happening. But to everyone who's joined in, I appreciate it all the time. Lots of love from me to you. Again, we got Space D007 saying learning a lot in a short time. Absolutely. Now's the time to learn. This is a phenomenal time. It's a bear market. It sucks. It's pain. There's blood in the street. But if you can scoop up some of these prices that we thought we'd never see again, well, shit, I can't even say it. But now is the time in order to do it, right? And that's because if you aren't going to buy at these prices, you're probably going to end up buying when it's going up because you think you're going to miss it. And you don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to chase the white rabbit in this scenario and pull a Neo. We do want to go into the matrix, but at the same time, we want to pull ourselves out of the matrix, because all this stuff that's happening, all this inflation, centralized exchanges blowing up, everything happening everywhere. That's all just stuff that, keeps people occupied and keeps their eye off what's actually really happening. And unfortunately, that's going to be real DeFi coming to the front forward. And we're here. We're going to be the leading people. If y'all are here in this time, you're winners, in my opinion. But again, my name is ATX Crypto. I appreciate everyone who's watched and tuned in on this stream. Keep calm and hex on. Happy Thanksgiving. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.